Arguably the best season we've ever had in Formula 1 history. We've seen highs, we've seen lows. Whoever side you're on, it's been spectacular. So now it's time to reflect back on this historic season. But I have a feeling this is going to be a long one, so grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and I hope you really enjoy. So here is the top 15 moments of the Formula 1 2021 season. Basically, every info I give you is actually from memory, so excuse me if I have some slight incorrection. I will be going a little bit fast through all these moments because, like I said, there are 50, so there are a lot to talk about. Bahrain GP. Controversy begins. Our first battle of our championship contenders. Lap 53 of 56. Max chases down Hamilton and overtakes him on the outside of the track. Unfortunately, he has to give the place back to Hamilton and finishes P2 while Hamilton finishes P1. Really inconsistent of the FIA because Hamilton crosses that line 26 times, but that's okay. When you overtake someone, it's apparently not okay. A little bit inconsistent of the FIA. To number 2, Imola GP. Max's lightning start and battle for turn 2 and 3. Max takes a brilliant start in Imola actually, and he takes off amazing because he goes into the spot where the safety car stood during the formation lap, and that part of the track was really dry, so he had great traction there, and he basically could attack Hamilton in turn 2 and 3, and they went side by side, hitting Hamilton. Hamilton took some curbing and had a bumpy ride. Could fortunately go back on track and regain all the lost positions during the red flag. So number 3, Monaco GP. Charles Leclerc takes pole position with a crash. So basically Charles set an amazing lap during the qualifying sessions. Unfortunately he hit the barriers. Max was on a fast lap as well, but unfortunately due to the red flags he had to abandon the fast laps. But unfortunately he couldn't actually start the race because of, I believe there was a gearbox issue, which meant number 4, Max wins his first Monaco Grand Prix. Max from P2 actually starts from P1. He actually dominates the whole race from P1 basically. So let's go to number 5, Azerbaijan GP. Verstappen crashes out of the lead in Baku. Max Verstappen drives on the straight. Unfortunately, his left rear tire has a blowout, causing him to crash into the wall and ending his race early. As you can see from the footage, he was pretty angry, kicking his tires as well. That meant number 6, Azerbaijan GP. Hamilton's restart braking error. Due to a red flag, the race had to be restarted. Unfortunately, due to brake bias difficulties, he switched all the brake bias to the front, causing him to lock up his front wheels, going straight at the runoff. So both championship contenders failed to score points that day. Goes straight to number 7, Austrian GP. Norris just pushes Perez wide, potentially costing him a podium. This is a corner which doesn't really suit the Red Bull cars because a year prior Hamilton basically hit the right rear tire of Albon, causing him to go into the gravel. So the next moment is arguably the most important moment of the season. Number 8, Great Britain GP. Max Verstappen's 51G crash at Copse Corner. I don't know what to say. Max Verstappen went for the apex of Copse Corner. Hamilton missed the apex, causing him to hit the right rear tire of Max. And this is actually the race where many people lost respect, or part of their respect, for Lewis Hamilton, and celebrating like crazy. I don't know why he did that. He celebrated like he won the championship. He sent that guy to the wall at 51 G's impact. I've got no respect for that at all. Number 9, Hungarian GP. Bottas goes bowling. Unfortunately, Bottas couldn't really find his brake pedal that race because he basically took out the half of the field, hitting both Red Bull cars and Norris as well. It looked like a Formula 1 open lobby. So anyway, number 10, Hungarian GP. Alonso's defense on Hamilton. This has been one of the best defensive battles of the whole season. Number 11, Hungarian GP. Esteban Ocon's first GP win. Again, an Alpine car. I guarantee that was in the papers in France because Alpine cars. After this race we had the summer break and we came back to Belgium, which means number 12, Belgium GP. George Russell qualifies P2. Wet qualifying in Spa-Francorchamps. This guy in a Williams in a wet race qualifies P2. Hats off, man. So that basically puts us right into number 13, Belgium GP. George Russell gets a podium in Williams. So unfortunately, due to the heavy rain that day, the race basically had like two laps. I'm not really sure how many laps, but it was red flagged almost right away. That meant that the order we qualified in basically was the podium as well. So he not only qualifies P2, he also got P2 again in a Williams. Good job. So number 14, Dutch GP, Max Verstappen wins his home Grand Prix. The pressure was on this dude. Amazing. All the orange fireworks and smoke bombs and whatever. Dutch people are crazy. Really put out Zandvoort on the calendar as well, so great to see. I really like that race. I said in the beginning of this video that this was a spectacular season. Well, this is actually the moment that I think the Formula 1 2021 season will be remembered by, which is number 15, Italy GP. Max and Lewis collide in Italy. They both went into turn 1 of the Monza track. Hamilton really squeezing Verstappen on the curbings, but squeezing another driver isn't bad if they have runoff area, but there wasn't any runoff right there. There was only gravel and a huge sausage curb. So Max basically got launched off the sausage curb, landing on the top of Lewis Hamilton's car. I mean, it's a Santa Prost moment in Suzuka. It was like that, but 10 times better. That meant protagonists were actually out of this race, which meant number 16. Italian GP, McLaren takes a 1-2 podium finish. Orange Cars takes the 1-2 in Monza. Great to see Daniel finishes P1, Norris's P2, and Bottas P3. I asked some people on Instagram as well what their favorite moment was, and this was actually a moment which was highlighted by many people actually. Go straight into number 17, Russian GP, wet late race drama in Sochi. I don't think Sochi was really that interesting at the beginning of the race. The last handful of laps, it rained and rained and rained like crazy. And basically Norris chose to stay out on soft tires. Half a lap later, he regretted that immensely. It was like ice. I mean, the conditions changed so incredibly fast. I don't really think you can blame Norris for that. So unfortunately that missed a great opportunity for him to be on the podium. Let's go straight into number 18, Turkish Grand Prix, Checo's defense against Hamilton. So Checo basically had this defensive battle in this beautiful white Arigato livery car. The plan was to use this livery in Japan, but due to the current pandemic, they couldn't race there. But the defense against him was amazing, and even though Hamilton pushed Perez a bit into the pit lane, he went side by side and basically overtook him on the straight, and then they went at it again. I mean, it's crazy to see. So number 19, United States Grand Prix. Verstappen keeps his cool in the last laps. Basically, Hamilton was on his tail. It was almost done for, but actually getting a DRS from a back marker, which I think saved his life. But he kept his cool and actually won that Grand Prix. So after the America GP, we of course go to Mexico, which means number 20, Mexico Grand Prix. Sergio Perez's podium on home soil. If there's one highlight of this whole race, it must have been Checo's dad. I mean, just look at how proud he is. Also, that podium ceremony was great as well, lifting the car up. Perez tried to catch Hamilton on the last few laps. Unfortunately missed out on P2, but got P3, and which meant that was a Mexican on the podium. And Mexican people are just as crazy as the Dutch people, so great to see. Number 21, Brazilian Grand Prix. Mercedes rocket engine puts Hamilton on pole with a 4.5 tenths gap to second. Nobody saw this coming. That engine they put in there, fresh. I mean, we were actually pretty scared as a community that Mercedes would dominate with this engine, but they only did with this race. They only dominated this exact race with that exact engine. Which leads us to number 22, Brazilian Grand Prix. Max and Lewis go wide in Interlagos. So Max basically braked way too late on the dirty side of the track, causing him and Lewis to go wide. I mean, both drivers said it was racing, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, that moment particularly. All right, let's go to number 23, Qatar GP. Alonso is back on the podium since Hungary 2014. With Bottas having a puncture and going into the gravel, it actually led Alonso to gain P3. I think that's also a record as well, with the longest moment in between podiums. Number 24, Saudi Arabian GP. Max's supernatural lap ends in tragedy. I think whoever side you're on, either you're on Team Hamilton or Team Max, we can all agree that this last lap of Verstappen was phenomenal. Max almost touching the wall every single corner. He basically had a tiny lock up at the front, causing him to lose time because he was too agitated. He pressed the gas too early, leading him to tag the wall, and basically the car was done for, and he couldn't reach the finish. Great lap to see. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish it, which is rather important. 25, Saudi Arabian GP, the second restart after the second red flag. But basically Max starts from P3, Hamilton P2, and Esteban Ocon starts from P1. Going 3 wide into turn 1, with Max almost hitting the wall. Hamilton hits Ocon, but unfortunately enough, they both continue the race. So people either are going to remember 2 things of this season between Hamilton and Max, which is either the Monza crash or this one, which is actually number 26. Hamilton drives into the back of Verstappen. So basically Max was told to give Hamilton a position back, but Hamilton wasn't aware at the time. While Max was slowing down, Hamilton hit the rear of Verstappen. Verstappen got the penalty for that. Yeah. Number 27, Saudi Arabian GP. Esteban Ocon misses out on the podium with just 1/10 of a second. It was great to see Ocon on the podium for the second time this season, but unfortunately Bottas didn't like that idea and he went for that podium place. Number 28, Saudi Arabian GP. Toto Wolff obliterates his headset. How could I left out this meme? What I find extremely funny about this moment is when he took off his headset, he was actually doubting, like, should I smash it? And he basically went for it. He went nuts and he just broke that shit. Great meme. Number 29, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We enter the final Grand Prix of the season with Max and Lewis being equal on points. So basically both drivers have 369.5 points. It's basically do or die in Abu Dhabi. Number 30, Abu Dhabi GP. Max takes an unexpected pole position thanks to Perez's toe. Everybody expected Mercedes to have pole position in the high-speed Yas Marina circuit, but to everyone's surprise, Max did. Basically, if you don't know what a toe is, that's basically a slipstream where one driver drives in front, one driver drives behind it, and basically push the air out to make way for the car behind it. Number 31, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Inconsistency starts. Hamilton cuts the chicane but doesn't get a penalty. I actually thought this was going to be a crash when I saw it live, but fortunately it wasn't. But Hamilton just cut the whole chicane, gaining enormous amounts of time, but doesn't get a penalty for it. I still think it's weird to have such inconsistent rules in this whole season. Number 32, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Perez's exceptional defense to hold Hamilton up. He basically serves one purpose here, and that's basically to hold Hamilton up. And he basically does. I believe the gap was 9 seconds to Verstappen, but he managed to get that down to, I believe it was 1.3 on the top of my memory. In hindsight, it didn't really matter anyway, because Hamilton just took off. I believe there was a 12-second gap in between them at some point during the race. And that leads us to the most exciting moment of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which is number 33. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Nicolas Latifi crashes with 5 laps to go. Mr. Nutella himself tags the wall, causing a safety car. And Toto didn't really like that. Which leads us to number 34, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Max Verstappen pits for soft tires during the safety car period. Alright, so if we can agree on one thing, Red Bull was on top of the game with strategy. Mercedes actually decided to stay out because they would lose track position. So with Max with fresh soft tires, was actually the softest compound, 40 something laps old. That was a bold strategy move from Mercedes, and this is where they screwed up. We have to take into account if Mercedes had pitted during this time, regardless of losing track position, this whole fiasco would have gone very differently, but they choose not to pit. So number 35, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Inconsistency continues. Lap cars are not allowed to overtake, but are 1 lap later. There basically were like 4 cars in between the race leader, which was Hamilton, and Verstappen. They decided not to do it, but they did have a lap later. They were allowed all of a sudden. So that was just a weird decision of the stewards. We can all agree on that. Which leads us to number 36. Toto Wolff loses his temper once more. Fortunately, the headset was okay this time. 37 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, overtake of the season. Max overtake Lewis with fresh tires in the final lap. Every Dutch person on that moment of that particular Sunday went nuts, I can guarantee that. Number 38, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Max Verstappen becomes world champion, being the first Dutch world champion there is. If you see this in the future and he arguably won more, maybe not, look back at this moment because this was a special one. Number 39, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Mercedes appeals, but ditched the appeal a week later. Mercedes wasn't really happy with the results that occurred in Yas Marina circuit or Abu Dhabi. Luckily enough, Mercedes ditched the appeal a week later. Couldn't imagine that being very good for their image. So that brings us to number 40, FIA prize giving ceremony. Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff won't attend the FIA Gala. I saw a post online with the kid that's supposed to bring the trophy out for Lewis Hamilton. I mean, I've got no words. Number 41, honorable mentions. Kimi Raikkonen quits Formula One. I think it's fair to say that the Iceman or Kimi Raikkonen was a very interesting character in Formula One. I think especially in 2021 we kind of miss a personality like that to not always agree with anything and just say as things are. But I think nobody will ever be as memorable as having a personality as Kimi Raikkonen. Brings us to number 42, honorable mentions. George Russell leaving Williams to join Mercedes for 2022. And I hope they won't restrain Russell in any kind of way. I just hope they will battle each other, and I hope Russell get a fair shot at his Mercedes career. Number 43, honorable mentions. Valtteri Bottas leaving Mercedes to join Alfa Romeo for 2022. His career at Mercedes kind of brings mixed emotions, honestly. My opinion is that he couldn't really always show that. He was more of a wingman to Lewis Hamilton than he could really show his own strength. So I think next year in Alfa Romeo there will be a lot less pressure on his shoulders, and I think hopefully he will shine better as a driver in that Formula One team. Number 44, honorable mentions. Alexander Albon makes a Formula One comeback with Williams. In 2021 he actually did a lot of simulator work for the whole Red Bull team, so I think he will have a good time in Formula One again. Not sure how Williams is going to perform next year. Number 45, honorable mentions. Antonio Giovinazzi leaves Formula One. I mean, his career is over in Formula One. He goes to Formula E, I believe. So hats off to him and good luck in the future. Number 46, honorable mentions. John Zhu makes Formula One debut with Alfa Romeo. People are pretty surprised about this whole idea that drivers buy themselves into Formula One, but it happens all the time, so I don't really get the hate toward this Chinese driver. It doesn't put him in any negative light for me personally, but let's see how he does next year. Number 47, honorable mention. Sir Frank Williams passes away at age 79. I believe it was during the Saudi Arabian or the Jeddah Grand Prix. He will be missed. So let's go to number 48. Number 48, honorable mentions. End of an era of Formula One. I think we've ended this era of Formula One with the best season we arguably ever had. I think right from the get-go, Mercedes dominated this whole hybrid era. Brings us to number 49, honorable mentions. Next season we switched from 13 to 18-inch tires. So I think Formula One made some good changes, especially at the end of 2018 to ditch the whole hyper soft, super soft, to basically just have three types of tires, which are soft, medium and hard. I think that really cleared things up for the drivers and just the viewers as well. Most of this era has been tire management instead of real hard racing. So I hope they will bring back the balance of fine, hard racing and being aware of your tire management. That would be nice to see. But please, don't put any LED lights in the tires. Please, that's just a horrible idea and it looks so stupid. Brings us to number 50, honorable mentions. The Formula 1 2021 calendar is going to have the most races out of any season ever. And on the logistics side as well, this is going to be a very tricky season. It must be tough to fly to every part of the world every weekend, almost every weekend. And especially those triple headers, you can imagine the stress. That basically rounds up the top 15 moments of the Formula 1 2021 season. I was planning on doing a top 10 video, but that's just impossible. So that was happening so much in this whole season. So I think a top 50 is the only thing that justifies this season, so to say, because almost every race was spectacular on its own right. So it took me a long time to make this video, actually, watching every highlight, every race, and really brainstorming about what I should put on this list. At the end of the day, this list is my top 50. Of course, maybe you have some different things, and maybe I forgot some things, so please let me know down in the comments below. I hope next year, around this same time in December 2022, I hope to tell you about that particular season. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and leave a like if you like this video. If you didn't like the video, dislike it. One thing is for sure, there was put a lot of time and effort into this video. But with that comes an end to this video, and I hope to see you guys next time as well. So thank you very much.